Well, the XFL season is officially over for just the regular old season. So, we'll just talk about a couple of things, just sort of meander around what happened. First and foremost, Houston is in the playoffs. They're going to be hosting Dallas. So, I'm going to be very surprised if Dallas beats Houston. Luis Perez was in, but he didn't look great. Now, Dallas wasn't playing a lot of their key players, which it problematic, really. They had a couple just poor execution parts in the game, so I'm really hoping that they can fix some of those. If you're Dallas, I don't hope, I'm a Houston fan, but hopefully they can get some things down up in Dallas. That way they can go on and proceed to play better and with a better execution. And then we've got Houston. Houston played Cole McDonald. Cole McDonald looked pretty good. We played a little bit at Caleb Ellaby, and you could tell that Caleb Ellaby is the third string. He doesn't get a lot of practice with the wide receivers and stuff, so he didn't look great. He did show off a little bit of his leg power, but I wanted to see a little bit more out of Caleb Ellaby, but Cole McDonald looked really good. We kept Brandon Silvers out of the game in Houston, just keeping him fresh for next week. Cole McDonald had 2 rushing touchdowns and then had a big run, proceeds to throw a horrible interception afterwards, but I mean, it's whatever there. Then, in the North Division, we got a couple things going on up in there. So it was St. Louis and Seattle were trying to get to that playoff. St. Louis had to score this just unearthly amount. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I think they just decided they were going to give Seattle controversy. I don't understand the maths. I wasn't able to get my head around it. At one point, it's like, okay, Seattle can't let... if Seattle lets Vegas score more than 34 points, then they're out. But if they have to score 34 points as well, and then somewhere along the line, that just sort of flip-flopped, I'm not for sure. I do feel like St. Louis got scammed at the end of the day. Which, I mean, you can call it a scam or you can call it whatever you want. But at the end of the day, you have to let I think you have to let Seattle in just because they had a better game and they might be point differentials. And I'm not completely sure of all the math, but the numbers sort of changed halfway through the broadcast. So that's one thing that a lot of St. Louis fans should be mad about, and rightfully so. And a lot of people are saying, well, we should have just the best 4 teams. And I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, why even bother with divisions at that point? So they've set themselves up for a longer-term thing, and with more teams, I don't think you just want the top teams in the playoffs, because then each team that loses, you're like, oh man, that's a great team, they should be in the playoffs. So just keep the North and South. We've never really had problems with it because we've only had like 1 or 2 postseason games between the USFL and the Spring League, and I mean, nothing really bad went on there, so I still expect high quality football to be part of it. It's just disappointing for St. Louis fans. Seattle played a good game against Vegas. Vegas looked pretty bad with Jalen McClendon. He had 6 completions for like 206 yards, which means each completion was like 34, 36 yards average down. Something ridiculous like that. So one of the strangest stat lines, really. Then we had Seattle. They just played a good game. I'm not exactly sure the numbers there, but somehow or another they're in the lead, so I'm not completely sure how they got into the postseason, but they're going to be playing DC. DC played a good game against San Antonio. They kept Jordan Teamu in the game for a while, which was a little bit surprising to me. I would just throw in Derek King, and Jordan Teamu's been getting beat up a little bit here recently. I would have just let him rest. But we had Derek King playing, and San Antonio nearly came back for the comeback win, and they nearly made the playoffs, I think, had they scored the field goal. So they got unfortunately, they were ruled out of the game after, Romo, I forget his name, he missed the field goal the last play of the game, so it's really unfortunate if you're a San Antonio fan, but I mean, hey, stuff like that happens, and then Dallas lost, so that was really a chance for you to go all the way. But USFL, let's talk about the USFL. It was week 2 has been haves versus the have-nots. So I go Memphis and Birmingham. Birmingham beat Memphis 42-2. And I thought we were going to have a closer game than that, personally, because we had Memphis played a relatively okay game against Philadelphia last week, so I was expecting, them to have a pretty close game. Birmingham did come out on top, though, which, good for them. However, Jamar Smith got injured. He's going to be out for the rest of the season, according to one report that I read, with an ankle injury, I think. So that's an unfortunate loss. But you got Alex Magoo, and he's worked his offense with poise. And you can't have that dual quarterback system with Jamar and Alex, but Alex is going to be taking on the rest of the reins for this season. Then we had New Jersey versus the Maulers, and that was a 20-3. That was one of the most boring games to watch in the first quarter. Only, I think it was only two field goals scored in the first half, one by each team, and it was a boring game to watch. The most exciting thing was New Jersey's quarterback. His wife was pregnant, so I was like, okay, interesting, cool. Moving on to nothing. Then we had Houston versus the Breakers. Houston had a great game with 31 points as compared to their 11 in the last game. But the Breakers were able to get 34 points, so it was a good showing by Houston. You're going to need to be a little bit better. Currently, Kenji Bahar is sitting at number 4 in most quarterback statistics. You just need to punch your ticket in. You're playing, I think they're playing Memphis this next week, so that's a chance right there for you to really pop off and show the world what you got. Then Michigan and Michigan and the Stars played. I think that was in Detroit. They might have it was Canton, I think. So that was a boring game. I mean, it was 24-10, and the Stars. I thought Case Cookus was going to come out with a little more pump and stuff, but that just didn't happen, unfortunately. So I mean, it's disappointing to see. Case Cookus, but just a couple things in their team. They didn't perform well. They didn't execute to the best of their abilities, which is why they only scored 10 points. Meanwhile, Michigan Panthers fans, I mean, there's something to be excited there. I wouldn't get overly excited. I would be cautiously optimistic at this point. But they did show that they were one of the best teams in the league last week, with Josh Love still being a very efficient quarterback and still playing a very good game, and so that's something to look forward to. I think he was Offensive Player of the Week last week, so you got to watch out for him. He's been playing very well, so that's just one thing. And if you're Michigan, I'd be a little excited. I mean, there's no telling what they're. So currently it's sort of a haves versus the have-nots, and I want to see teams like Houston be able to piece everything together for a push, because you already lost 2 games, and that's hard to come back from. But we saw the Seattle Seahawks did it, and they only lost 1 game after the second 2, which that was against DC, which is understandable, and it was only by like 1 point or something. It was not a lot that they lost by that second time. So Houston, I want to see them put it together. Philadelphia, I mean, we're going to have a bounce back game. So all in all, okay, the Maulers are still the Maulers. You can't discredit that. And I would be very concerned if I'm a Memphis fan, because only scoring 2 points and you've got all 3 quarterbacks played, I think that's maybe a testimony to your team. Ryan Willis might want to get a couple more snaps under his belt. He only threw 5 passes, so definitely a lot that we can work on if you are a Showboats fan, because only 2 points, that's a credit to your defense, and your offense got shut out the entire night by a sort of beat-up Birmingham team. But now we're going to go on to predictions and power rankings for everyone, so we'll hit that up next. So let me see, I got number 1, I got the Stallions, still a very well-rounded team. 42 points ain't nothing to sneeze at. Number 2, I have the Michigan Panthers. I'm still skeptical about Josh Love and the Michigan Panthers. They are a better team than last year, obviously, but I'm just not sure about it. Number 3 and 4, I got mixed up. Number 4 is supposed to be the Stars. Number 3 is supposed to be the Breakers. Breakers have a great offense, and I'd be very concerned if I'm Birmingham, but you can worry about it later. Number 4, I've got the Stars. They've still got a well-rounded team with Case Cookus, and You still have a strong team. I just think that refine some parts and you're doing good. Number 6, I have number 5, I have Houston. And the reason is, I mean, they did a lot better on offense. Number 6, New Jersey is still a slow offense. Very terrifying run game to play against, but there's no like deep threats that I've seen. They had a couple of big throws here and there, but nothing too scary. Number 7, I have Memphis, and number 8, I have the Maulers. Memphis seems to have a better team. I mean, from week 1 to week 2. Then I have the predictions, so in no particular order. I've got Michigan beating the Maulers. I mean, that shouldn't be hard. I have the Stars beating New Jersey because the Stars are just more versatile. New Jersey is a little more just run heavy, and so if you shut down the run, you shut down New Jersey is what it's looking like. They're missing Cavante Turpin for sure. Then I got Showboats versus Houston. Showboats have the home field advantage, but I wouldn't be surprised if Houston wins just because they seem to have a more consistent offense. I have 2 weeks of film to go off of right now. Then I've got the Stallions versus the Breakers. I've got the Stallions winning just because they've got that home field advantage. Will I think it's going to be close? Yes, it's going to be definitely a very close game between these two teams. You definitely got to watch out for Alex Magoo, but, you know, you're not playing Jamar Smith anymore, so you're not going to have just like, oh, man, Alex Magoo's down, so they're just going to throw in their second quarterback just so they can work past their kinks. Scooby Wright's going to get a little more healthy as the weeks go on, so you got to be increasingly worried about him playing. So all in all, the Breakers, they don't have a good offensive line, too. That's one thing that I noticed. So moving on, we got predictions for the championship, not the championship, but, well, I guess division championship. I've got DC and Houston winning. I mean, they're both home teams, and they've been the most consistent teams in their separate divisions, so that's why I've got them where they got. DC, you got Jordan Teamu, you know, the whole Lucky Jackson, Chris Blair, and all the players are still the same. Houston, even though the offense has been struggling, it seemed to have gotten finally back on track last week, and that's with, they should have had another touchdown, but, they just threw a bad interception. Losers, I've got Ben DiNucci and the Renegades. It'll surprise me if the Renegades win. However, Ben DiNucci, I mean, it wouldn't be surprising if he won. Both games that they played against DC have been very close, you know, win by the skin of your teeth sort of games. So that's why I got them losing, but I would not be surprised at all if they win. Power rankings, I mean, I've got DC number 1, of course, and then I've got Seattle number 2, both high-powered offenses, as you know. Houston, I've got number 3. I think they're better than the Renegades, but I'm not. They didn't beat either of these teams, and neither were they really close whenever they did play, except for Seattle. But Houston failed to make the rally comeback at the very end. So that's just one thing that I got. I am fairly certain that Houston wins the next game, and I'm less certain about DC winning, but they do have that 2-2, so I mean 2 for 2, so I mean I'd be a little concerned, but that's all I have for you today. I love you, and I'll see you next time.